Welcome everybody to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement and we like to give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. And what do you guess? It's another game. My name is Anthony Ragucci, and here to discuss with me, as always, reviewing Silent Hill F, Chris Trio.
Ooh, a little spooky in here, Gooch. I'm excited to talk a little Silent Hill F. We just did Chronos. We just talked a little Lost Soul Aside, so I'm excited to round it off here.
Yeah, another review where I did not play.
Yes.
Trio played, so he'll be in the hot seat yet again, giving me his thoughts on Konami's first new Silent Hill game in a long time. And before you get into it, Trio, I do want to let you know that Silent Hill as an IP has not really been in a good place for a long time. A remake aside.
Sure.
After Silent...
I would say Konami even, too, in general.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
After Silent Hill 3, things took a real downturn with the IP. Not a lot of people like even 3, but everything that comes after it is pretty controversial in terms of quality. Konami gave, their IP to Western studios just like they did with Bloober, but this is the first... This is made in-house, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So this is like return to form again with Silent Hill. I mean, it's a bit different. It's not in Silent Hill. It's not in America. It's in Japan with Japanese characters made by Japanese teams. So in terms of what Silent Hill is and has been, this is a pretty different departure. And, I'm not a big Silent Hill fan, and I would say neither are you.
Absolutely.
We both played the remake. We both reviewed that. So please go and check that out.
Absolutely.
But what did you think about this new entry, F? What the fuck does F mean? You don't have to answer that right now, but I want to know.
You know what's funny, Gooch? I actually don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, what does that F represent? I'm sure someone will say it to me, and I'd be like,
I heard that it represents femininity or female.
That would make sense.
Because I know the story has a lot to do with women,
and even just the idea, like the patriarchy at the time of the Japanese society and all that. Yeah, for sure. And it's funny. It wears a lot more of that on its sleeve than I realized, especially now that I'm going through the second playthrough of the game.
Yeah. But
regardless, man, yeah. You know me. I'm a survival horror guy. We were just talking about Chronos. I absolutely adored that. It's hard. It's hard for me not to like these games, but I shouldn't say that also because, I have a standard for these, and I will give it to Silent Hill F. I think it fucking knocked it out of the park. I think it's a bit of a slow burn. I got into it and I was a little bit meandery and I'm like, all right, well, where's this going? What's going on? But I think it really starts to pick up once you hit a certain point in the game. I think the setting is probably one of the more standout things for me.
Okay.
It's 1950s Japan. It's a small kind of rural town.
Right. You're not
You follow
Tokyo.
Hinako, who, doesn't have a great relationship with her parents. Her dad seems like, very abusive. Her mom just seems to kind of accept it, and she doesn't like her mom because of that. Like, she just kind of goes with the flow and accepts the abuse and doesn't really stand up to her father. You're following her on a day where she, leaves home and goes down to the town, and all of a sudden the fog starts rolling in, things start getting spooky, and, it goes downhill from there. Downhill? No, didn't even mean to do that. The fungus, this weird, like, organic overgrowth that's taking over the town is like very disgustingly beautiful. It's like pulsating, but it has like red flowers.
So is that like the other world?
It seems to be like it's how it's
not actually there.
No, it is. So there are two separate worlds that you're in throughout this game. There's the spirit realm and then there's the real world. Okay. The real world town is being overtaken by this fog all of a sudden, and this weird overgrowth is kind of taking over. All these monsters start showing up. It's really striking. And throughout the game as you're playing, you start out on the main, start screen. The town's all clean and nice. I mean, it looks, dark and scary, and the fog's rolling in. But as you play, the home screen becomes engulfed in the fungus and the flowers. And by the end, it's just this pulsating mass of flowers, and it's disgusting. But again, kind of weirdly beautiful in a way. So I think, taking that step with the setting was a very good idea. I think it separates itself from Silent Hill, especially 2, in a major way and in a good way, in a way that feels natural, but still definitely feels Silent Hill.
Yeah, that was one of the big things. Like, I sort of dismissed this game when it came out because
like when it was announced.
Yeah, like I'm like, I don't know. You know, again, not a Silent Hill fan, so not necessarily looking to get into the series, and I think F was just kind of like, okay, like this isn't Silent Hill, but it is. You know, I feel like besides the title, it probably couldn't have been. It could have been named something different and been like a different named game. I know there's those themes in there, and you know maybe I'm wrong to a certain degree, but it's not set in Silent Hill. This town isn't Silent Hill.
No,
but there are Silent Hill-esque things going on that are sort of synonymous with the series, right? And I think that's an interesting take. It's like, why didn't, if Konami wanted to make a horror game, you know, that was really different from Silent Hill, why call it Silent Hill? I mean, that title goes a long way, but, you know, and I sort of saw the Japanese setting and I was like,
So you're playing as a Japanese schoolgirl,
yeah,
which is also
like,
for some reason turn you off a little.
It's like, I don't think I'm like, I would like to play this game. I'm sure it looks pretty good, but like I'm not going to get it on launch kind of deal.
Absolutely.
And I saw it getting good reviews and I sort of written it off and I'm playing a bunch of other games. So it was kind of like, you know, I'm just going to wait on it.
Well, and it's coming from at this time, like you were saying, a very relatively unproven Konami. Like we don't really know what this was. And then they had Silent Hill. What was that like?
The Ascension. That
was like a shit show.
Yeah.
People really didn't like it. So
yeah, I mean,
I think that was well based, honestly.
Right. I mean, Silent Hill 2 Remake was a hit. Delta was a hit. But, like, this is the first game Konami has made from the ground up. We've had collections, remasters, and remakes. You know, it hasn't been... This is the first new thing since, like, I don't know, MGS5, I guess, or Survive.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was that?
You know, it's been, like, almost 10 years. So the fact that, like, they're actually doing something new, and I guess that it is a departure from what they've done in the past, does make a lot of sense now that we sort of state that.
No, absolutely. And I think, you know, it just gives them a point of differentiation that I think works very well. But, you know, by the time I was halfway through this game, I'm like, no, this is a Silent Hill game. Like, in the way that the story unfolds, in the way that the fog kind of overtakes the town, just the eeriness of it all, like, it definitely feels very much set within that universe. And, you know, I think Hinako, the main character herself, is very
Hinako
much...
or Himiko?
I thought it was Hinako, but it might be
you
Hinako.
Know better than me.
I thought it was Hinako, but I might be wrong. If you can correct me, that would be great. I think she's a very much...
Yeah, it's Hinako.
Hinako, yeah. She is a very interesting character. She reminds me of James in a lot of ways and is a very large departure from him and others. Her development throughout the story, what she's going through, the psychology of what she has to deal with, I think is very interesting. And it didn't always land with me in the way of like, I didn't quite understand what was going on.
Yeah, so can you talk about that a little bit more, and then we can get into the gameplay and then a bit more of the story. Like, who is Hinako? Like, what's going on with her? Why is she going through? Like, what's her? You know, what's the trauma here? What's going on? What is she looking to do? You know, with Silent Hill 2, it's easy. Like, James is looking for his wife. What is Hinako doing?
So the beginning to the story, like I mentioned, is like her father and her mother are arguing, and the father's like, she has to do this for the family. She's done nothing for us. He does not like Hinako because he feels like she is not what a woman should be at the time. She talks back. She doesn't stay in her place. She is very free thinking, you know, especially for 1950s Japan. I'm sure that would stick out in a not very good way. I mean, I know that's at the time especially, it was a very patriarchal society. You know, the man is the head of the family, and, you know, she's leaving the home for the day to go see her friends in town. And all of a sudden, I will say, I feel like this kind of dips into it much more quickly than even Silent Hill 2. You get to this point where you meet all your friends in town. There's a lot more characters too. I will say that. You meet Shu, who that you call him your partner.
Play this in English?
Yeah. No, okay. I started playing in English, but it is very much a dub, and it's not well done. And I was like, you know what? I'm going back to Japanese.
This is a game I feel like I'm not playing Yote in Japanese, but like this feels like a game I would play in Japanese because I mean, it's like action games. It's hard to follow.
Well,
sometimes
I was mentioning this, and I think you agreed. Like when you're playing and there's action going on, and you are in the middle of gameplay, and someone's talking to you in a different language, you have to pay attention to the gameplay as well as read the subtitles. So gets to be a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, glad. So you started in English, flipped over to
and I was like,
Japanese.
Yeah, no good Japanese. So, you know, you start making your way into town. you're not really seeing anyone. You're like, what's going on? You find your friends in the middle of the town, Shu and like these two other girls. I can't remember their names. And all of a sudden the fog rolls in and shit hits the fan. And the whole point of the game is that you're just trying to honestly survive for the most part. As Hinako, you're trying to find your friends and make it to a safe place to avoid these terrible, awful monsters that have just started invading the town out of nowhere. And you don't really know why. There's like this fog monster that you have to run away from that seems to be the spirit that is causing this in some way, shape, or form. You don't know exactly what that is. But that starts to become illuminated throughout the game. Every once in a while, Hinako gets like knocked out or she like passes out or something. And she goes into what I can only describe as like a spirit realm. And there's this kind of B plot with this fox spirit where you are going through these trials and tribulations. And I'm like, what is this about? What does this have to do with anything? And then by the end, I still was a little bit confused, even like with the full end cinematic and everything. And I'm like, wait, who is she? What's going on?
Yeah.
And then as soon as I started my replay, it couldn't be more in your face about some of these elements. I mean, there's a picture that you see. And again, I won't give too much away. Then I'm like, oh, like it was like that clicking moment of like, I see now. Okay.
I think for good or for better, I have learned that like New Game Plus seems to be required.
It does seem
for
to be
this
a
game
big
to
key.
fully grasp what's going on.
Well, and even I will say for Silent Hill 2, I didn't fully grasp what was going on. I needed to look up something at the end, and even our review was very nice in the way that it illuminated a lot of things for me that I didn't quite connect.
Right, and that's a game people have been critically analyzing and digesting for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So this is a much different situation. But
yeah,
anyway.
but there's a lot of seeds. There's a lot of moments where, especially going back, I'm like, oh, that's what this is in reference to. So yeah, you get down to the town, you meet all your friends, and then the fog rolls in. The fog gets one of your friends, and it's like it's kind of fucked up the way it like grows on her, and she becomes like crystallized almost, and then the flowers like bloom out of her.
I've seen the death scenes with Hinako where like the flower like starts like
blooming from her face. It's interesting, and like I will say, I don't know exactly what that fungus is supposed to represent, and like how exactly that whole side unfolds, how much of it is real, how much of it is not. There is a lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
Interpretation,
and there's untrustworthy like narrator kind of elements I think going on.
From the Fox guy?
From the Fox, and even like Hinako, where you're like, oh wait, what was this moment that I just went through? It's really interesting. Again, without like getting into too much of exactly what it's saying. And I really don't want to, because I think that there is a lot to kind of unfold and digest yourself when it comes to the story of this game. Again, I think it does wear a lot of it on its sleeve. On that second playthrough, you really kind of get what it's trying to say. It really harps on the theme of women at the time and what they had to go through and what Hinako, as a young woman in the 1950s in Japan, would have to deal with. And I think those themes are very interesting. And I think she works very well as a character to kind of push those themes forward. And by the end, you feel for her. I mean, the actor even talked about it. She was like, I felt like I was kind of going crazy by the end. Like, she is going through some wild shit in this game. And there's a turning point specifically in the spirit realm where I'm like, holy shit. And she's going through these trials, and she has to do certain things, and she has to make sacrifices in physical and non-physical ways. Like it reminds me very much of Pyramid Head in a lot of ways. Like I feel like this kind of spirit realm side is her Pyramid Head journey, but you are actually almost playing as her. It's weird. It's interesting. I really, really do like Hinako a lot, and I'm very curious to see what other people think and where they take the story, especially on the second playthrough. I'm curious to see what the new endings bring, how different it is, how much it illuminates, because the first ending leaves a lot to your digestion, for sure.
Do you know what ending you got?
You can only get one to start.
Okay.
The first ending is baked in. You can't change it no matter what.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. And then it,
And then I believe there's 3 more endings that you can get.
I think there's 5.
Oh, is there?
Okay. And I know there's a UFO joke one.
Oh, really?
In the other games.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any more joke ones, but I know there's a UFO ending, and that's originally from the first game. And I think there's a UFO ending in 2, because I know there's like the dog ending.
Interesting.
In 2, where there's a dog like behind
controlling it all. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Talk about gameplay. I've seen gameplay of her using a pipe. I've seen some memes about the pipe. I don't know if she uses any other sort of melee weapons. I know something happens with her arm.
Yes. So
and then her clothes get all ripped up. So go for it.
Yeah. So combat's the big thing in this game. I feel like that was one of the major changes they wanted to introduce. Much more combat focused. You have a pipe.
I've heard people compare it to Dark Souls.
No, that's not.
I was like, can we stop?
It's in the way of like, there's a dodge mechanic and you have to time some of your attacks. So I guess so. I'd say it's more Dark Souls than Devil May Cry for sure. But like, is it Dark Souls?
Like,
no.
Or do we need to compare it like that?
You have a stamina bar. You have a dodge. There is a parry mechanic as well. And that's introduced kind of early on. You have your sanity meter, which is kind of your focus meter, almost for lack of a better term. You hold left trigger.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And then there is an animation they do where they turn, like, I don't even know how to describe it. There's a notable animation on them where they like change color. And if you're holding down the focus during that, it slows down time a lot, so you can kind of easily, counter. That also makes your attack more powerful.
I've seen like the gameplay, and it seems like you hit the enemy and it kind of like stops.
Sometimes. Yeah. But sometimes it'll keep attacking. You really have to kind of commit to the power attacks, the heavy attacks.
And it stops in like this like slow-mo sort of way.
Yeah, so that's when you are using your focus mode.
Okay.
So if you aren't using focus, you can still counter by clicking right trigger when they turn that color or whatever. But when you're using your focus, it slows down time and gives you like a very large window. But you only have so much of that sanity, they call it. It's your sanity bar.
Okay.
And
so it's a button press that's doing that. It's not just doing that.
Yeah, you're holding down the left trigger to activate that focus mode.
Right.
The combat definitely gets repetitive by the end. There's not a ton of enemy types. It feels like they focused on it a little bit too much.
I heard
and
the
not
end
enough.
is really gameplay heavy.
It is. You get a lot of monsters. You start running into a lot of the same monsters. They get right up on you. Some of them are really fast. Some of them are slower. Some of them are just harder to kill. They just have a lot more health. A lot of them, especially in the beginning, I was just running by for the most part.
So, and you're just using a pipe, right? That's it?
No, you can find, so the weapons are breakable. After so many things, they get destroyed. You can find toolkits to repair them. But throughout the game, you're finding different weapons. There's bladed weapons. There's a scythe. There's a knife. I think that's it. There is like there's a pole arm that you get, but that's only in the spirit realm. And when you're in the spirit realm,
Naganaki or something like
exactly.
That? Yeah.
And when you're in the spirit realm, the weapons don't break.
Okay.
But also the enemies reform.
Okay.
So you can destroy them, but they come back, they reactivate after a while. But when you're in the real world, they go.
I think I remember hearing that Hinako is like a sprinter or something like that. She's like athletic.
To a degree,
something like that. And I think that plays into the combat because I think it's a very conscious decision to not put guns in these games, right? All Silent Hill games have had guns.
You know what's so funny? I didn't even think about that.
But I don't think it may like why would she have access to, or why would the Japanese people in 1950s they would not have access to firearms? I don't even think they have much access to firearms even now.
No, you're right.
So I like it just wouldn't fucking like kid holding this like handgun.
I think narratively you're completely on the point. Like it wouldn't really make any sense. And it is funny because like you have this juxtaposition of Hinako in her like schoolgirl uniform.
I've seen some scenes of her like
awful
Ellieing somebody with a pipe.
Yeah, like it can get pretty wild.
Where the camera is sort of from the view of whatever she's hitting, and she's fucking just laying into this thing.
So you can find a pipe, you can find a bat, you can find knives and a scythe. The bladed weapons do a lot more damage, but they break quicker. So you're kind of managing that type of resource throughout. I wasn't finding myself without weapons when I needed it for the most part. That's the other thing. There are difficulty meters on this. There's a story.
Yeah.
It's for there's two. There's one for your puzzles and one for your gameplay.
What did you do?
I did story for gameplay. It's kind of weird because it's like story and hard, and like
there's only two.
There's only two for the combat, and I'm like. At the beginning, you can unlock another one once you beat the game.
Yeah. I think it's like in the fog.
And you know me, Gooch, pro gamer. I see story and I'm like, do I want to do story?
Right.
Story. So I'm like, I'll try hard. I was getting fucked. Like 2 hits. I'm like, you know what? I bumped it back down to story.
Okay.
I'll go through on hard on the next time. So once you complete it, you get into the fog difficulty.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that right now on the New Game Plus. and you get all of your upgrades and stuff like that.
Do you have puzzle on that too?
Yes, so I did do the puzzles. Puzzles for the most part, I didn't have much trouble. There was one that I had to look up because I just was like, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand what this is telling me. It was like a puzzle box in the school area. But yeah, for the most part, I found it relatively manageable, and I wasn't like getting frustrated or anything by the puzzles.
Yeah, I think Silent Hill has some pretty difficult puzzles. I know in 3 there's a notorious one that you kind of have to have some Shakespeare knowledge to know how to solve. So
there was one at the end that was tough.
So seeing that there's some difficulty, like I don't think I want puzzles that are a pushover.
There's a medium,
but I definitely want some that are sort of thought provoking
and solvable. You know, for the Gen Pop. Yeah, I'm trying to think of which other one stuck out to me. I think this is way more puzzle heavy than like your Chronos. Like I was saying, it definitely feels more along the lines of like your Silent Hill style puzzles. I don't think there's as many as Silent Hill 2, but they're still definitely present. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. I kind of really mostly got through most of my points.
What's up with the arm thing?
Okay, so yeah, spoilers here if you don't want any. Midway through the spirit realm stuff, you're talking to this fox guy, and you keep seeing this doll throughout the spirit realm and it has like a note. It's like, do not trust the fox. And that it's like throughout the whole game. And I'm like, oh, can I like do something here to not trust that? Like, can I go any other? And no, you can't. You just have to keep going along with it. And throughout the spirit realm portion of the game, you are going through this ritual of some kind. You don't really know what it's for. You're sacrificing something for the fox, and it starts out with you get a brand on your. There's three trials that you go through. I think the first one is actually she goes there and she has to cut off her own arm, which then gets replaced with like this fox arm, which is like a big kind of almost like straight out of Bloodborne.
Yeah, I've
like
seen
arm.
It. Yeah.
And it's a pretty wild scene. And then in the next scene, she gets a brand that is literally, I kid you not, like the size
on her back.
On her back. That's like, I don't even know how to describe how big it is. It's like half of a movie poster size. That's insane. And then the last one is like, did you watch these at all, or have you seen them?
I haven't seen the cutscenes. I've seen her with like a ripped up shirt.
So they walk
stuff
out
like that. I don't know about this one.
They walk out with like a fox mask on a tray and a knife. And Hinako picks up the knife, and she cuts all of the top half of her face. You don't see I think they do a really good job of implying in this game. You don't need to see her literally cutting off the top half of her face to make me feel bad. Just hearing
I've
the
seen
noise
her in that fox mask,
and you see like the blood pouring off, and you hear her just like kind of weeping, and she basically cuts all around the top half of her face. She takes that off, lays it down, and then she picks up the fox mask, and then they sew it to her face.
Okay.
I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. That was insane. So that's kind of, it seemed to be implying this idea of she's giving up pieces of herself for whatever ritual she's going through. And by the end, you kind of realize what ritual that is.
So what, yeah,
Right,
I'm interested, even though I'm going to play this. I watched a lot of streams of it, but I'm like, I don't really know the story here.
So Hinako is getting married, but she doesn't want to.
Okay.
And the fox.
So it's an arranged marriage.
It's an arranged marriage. And it's so funny. With the first time that as I went through on the second playthrough, the beginning scene is you hear her mom and her dad arguing, and he's like, I need her to do this for me. It will solve all our debt. She's never done anything for this family. She has been a lowlife, unlike her sister, who you do see throughout this game.
There's an older sister, right?
And you know, it's panning across the whole place, across her whole apartment, and then it pans up. You don't care if I spoil stuff here.
No.
It pans up to, at the beginning of the game, her sister shows up. You don't see her face, and she's like congratulating her on something, and she's like, you know, I know Dad's tough, but I love you, and I'm here for you. And then it's like panning up, and she's like, it's been hard since you've been gone, Hinako, to her sister, because she's apparently been married off before.
Okay.
And it's like panning throughout the apartment, and then it pans up to her sister's wedding photo. And her dress is the fucking dress that the spirit is wearing throughout the game. So there's this fog spirit that's attacking town throughout the game that ends up, it's Hinako. It's her, it's almost like a loop of some kind. She's been turned in to this fox spirit. Again, I don't know how much of this is real and how much of this is in her head and like you know, trying to tease out what's happening in her head. And yeah, this whole ritual that she's been going through the whole game in that spirit realm is her turning into this fox spirit.
Okay.
And there's one point in the game where she like kills herself, and then you become like the fox spirit then becomes Hinako again, and you play as her and continue. It does get a little confusing.
I've seen a I don't know if I should say this because I don't know if you actually see it.
Okay, yeah, but
in your ending.
Yeah, maybe not. So there are a few like there's
I saw something that
you see her kill. So there's a moment where like you fight her parents as like big weird monsters.
Okay.
And then you finish them off, and then they transform back into regular people, and you walk outside behind them, and then like the spirit is in front of them and just like kills them. And she's like, no. It literally, after you defeat the fox spirit and then she kills the Hinako that you were playing as, you walk over to her parents, and then that scene happens from the other angle where you are seeing it as her killing her parents, and then the other Hinako walks out. So there's like a time thing to this game. There seems to be something real to the spirit that is invading town. There's even like things around the town, notes about a fox's wedding and like a fox spirit, and how some girls have been like taken from the town and never returned, and no, they just went and had a fox's wedding. They're in the spirit realm now because there are these old, tales about the fox spirit coming to the mortal realm to collect a mortal wife or bride or something, to have them live in the spirit realm with them. And like, they're fine. They're going to be okay. So again, I'm not completely sure exactly how the spirit realm stuff unfolds or how it actually happens, but at the end of the game, it basically pans up, and you realize that they're at like there's police lights or something, and like there's like a floor, and there's blood all over the floor, and like it looks like they're at like a hall of some kind, like a dance hall, like where you'd have a reception, and there's like glasses, and there's police online. Like there's a woman going crazy. She's killed 15 people with a blunt object, and she's on a rampage right now. We need to get at her ASAP. So like, this seems to be something she was almost going through psychologically in her mind during the wedding, the back and forth, and then she just snapped. And there are these red pills, Gooch, that you are fed throughout the game. Fucking Dylan called this. That was his thing that he put in the Discord. That you keep taking, and it doesn't affect the first playthrough if you take them or not.
Okay.
But it seems that those red pills that are like healing things in the game, like it's just like a red pill that restores some of your sanity and some of your health. But then there's also notes on it about how Shu gave it to you to help with your headaches.
I was going to say,
and
this
all
has
that
something
stuff.
To do with Shu, right? Yeah.
And I don't know though, like what exactly the pills are doing. He talks about how they're like Western medicine, and or they're more like herb based medicines, and she's been getting these constant headaches because she's had like tension headaches and stuff like that, and Shu thinks they'll help him. Again, I don't know exactly what they are, and I still need to kind of figure that out, but there's a few layers. Like I understand like that it's supposed to be like a metaphor for her going through this mental turmoil of having to get married, and she doesn't want to do it, and she's being forced to do it by her family.
Right.
And then she finally snaps by the end.
Right.
But I'm wondering how much of like the town stuff is real. Is that all in her head?
What about the other friends? What parts do they play in the story?
So throughout the game, they keep calling like the two girlfriends don't like her. The one likes Shu a lot and is super jealous of her. And there is this like tension. And
Does Shu like Hinako?
Yeah, you can tell there's very much like they've been best friends since they've been younger, and like all that type of stuff. And like throughout the spirit realm part of the game, you are almost like learning to forget your friends. Like you basically kill them all.
I've seen a fight that is one of them calls her a traitor a lot. Yeah.
But even the one girl does at the beginning, like before she turns into like fungus, she's like, traitor. I'm like, what? That part I still don't fully grasp.
What does that mean? Yeah, that's
what is going on there?
Especially in English, it's like what that word implies. Like I don't know what context you would ever call me a traitor.
Yeah,
like a betrayal maybe, but like. Yeah, I'm curious to hear what that word would be in English, like in the dub.
Right.
Obviously, or what it means in Japanese, because like Japanese words don't always translate properly.
Perfectly, right.
So what is she? How is she a traitor? Is that what you just don't understand?
Yeah, the girls just really don't seem to like Hinako, and then Shu obviously has a crush on her. And then like every time you show up with Shu somewhere, the other girl's like, "Oh, hi, Hinako. Like, what are you doing here? Like, what?" And it's interesting. I again. I'm not fully grasping exactly what that's supposed to mean and how you can maybe change that throughout the game on the second playthrough. But there is this theme of like, I don't know, her friends just don't like her and see her as a traitor for some reason, and I would like to expand upon that more for sure.
I think I kind of said this before the review, but listening to the story, listening to you talk about this, I really want to play this. I think I'm gonna throw it on the Christmas list this year,
dude. It's again,
have Santa bring it to me. You know, it sucks. I'm gonna miss it for the Game Awards, but I feel like it's a game I want to play sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I will say, funnily enough, the gameplay is probably the weakest element for me in this.
There seems to be a lot of back and forth. I think the game, from what I hear, is good, but I think there's a lot of controversy within the gameplay and how much of there it is, and then some of the story
I think that is genuinely my biggest detraction. I wish they focused a little bit less on combat, maybe toned down the enemy encounters a little bit. But overall, I think they really did knock this one out of the park.
So do you think, would you want something more like a Silent Hill 2 remaster where, like, okay, you have guns and you have melee weapons, but the combat and the mechanics around it are pretty simplistic?
Pretty simplistic, yeah. And it's funny because we were talking about this with Brad on our podcast. And
yeah, you can go check that out now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last, monthly podcast.
Yeah, and I was talking about, I'm like, because I said all this and he's like, yep, sounds like a Silent Hill game. And I'm like, it's just funny to me that, like, Silent Hill 2 for some reason did not hit that way for me, in the way of where I was like, man, these enemies are repetitive and I'm getting annoyed with the combat and all that stuff, because I felt like it was very selectively used in ways that
the gameplay really services the story,
right?
In those in older Silent Hill games, from what I've always understood, like you're not there to smack some, you know, mannequin lady thing with your pipe. You know,
you're more there to it's an experience,
right?
Like you're there for the vibes, for the story,
yeah.
To
the
feel
trauma.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. And again, Silent Hill 2 is a bit, I wouldn't say walking simmy, but like
it's got some elements
of
there.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, you know, you're there for the environment, you're there for the experience. And I think this game might have done a little bit well to kind of lean more into that, but I get it. They're trying to get more of a modern audience in. People are looking for a bit more action when it comes to their games, especially in the broader sense. I understand. So I can't really be mad at them for that in any regards, but it did, when I first heard about it, turn me off when I heard how action heavy this was going to be, like oriented. And I was like, I don't know. But then the reviews came out. It got really great reviews. And I'm like, all right, you know what? You locked me in. I'm definitely going to play this. Okay.
I did want to ask you about the music, because Akira Yamaoka returns to do the score. He did all the, I don't know if all the other Silent Hill games, but a lot of the noticeable ones, Silent Hill 2 remake and the original he did.
Right.
What did you feel about the music? Did you feel like that really...
I will say I didn't notice it very much.
Okay.
I like, especially when going back from like something like Chronos, where that was very much in my face, and I was like, ooh, like I'm hearing this music. I think it fit it well. It didn't feel out of place by any means. I wasn't like, this music is weird and wild and what the fuck's going on. So yeah, I think it accomplishes it.
Did you have a different reaction to Silent Hill 2 Remake's music? Because I feel like those tracks in that game are really good.
You know what? I will say, looking back, not really. I don't remember the soundtrack as much. I really more remember the ambient sounds of the game. And like,
which is music,
but even more. Just
no. I'm not saying that to one up you.
No,
but
for
like,
sure.
They are actual like
little cues and stuff, right? And like,
no, they're like, the tracks are that.
Right. Like very moody.
Like
and
if you go listen to the soundtrack, you'll find a track that is just like,
it's just what I was experiencing.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So then there you go. Yeah, exactly.
It's
so
not. It is that.
It's
but
not as orchestral. More
some
like
songs
moody.
Really are like you know the when the Silent Hill 2 starts, or even when you meet not Maria shit. What the fuck's her name?
Her name too. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
It's
Claudia, is it Claudia? No.
The other girl, the fire girl, the one that her room's on fire.
Yeah. Shit.
I can't remember.
I gotta look this up. This is bothering me.
But no, I do think the music sets the tone well enough, and it kept me engaged. Did it like stick out to me?
Angela. Jesus.
But I wouldn't say it stuck out to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting. Is there anything else?
Let me see here. I don't think so. We talked about difficulty.
This is a 70 bucker, right?
This is a 70 bucker. It's about an 8 to 10 hour. But
That's
it is
it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But you know me, so like I tend to, I think, maybe go through a bit quicker on these games than even like you. I can't remember what we were talking about last, where I was
Death
like
Stranding.
Yeah. where I feel like, or no, it wasn't Death Stranding. There was another game where I was like, it took me like 9 hours, and you were like, it took me like 20 or something. I can't remember.
Delta?
It was Delta. That was it. Yeah. So I don't know. Your mileage may vary on that, but the game is absolutely built to be played again. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I think can be argued a little bit. I do wish that there was a bit more of a satisfaction to at least playing it through once, because when I finished Silent Hill 2, I didn't feel the need, like, to get the full story out of it. I didn't feel the need to go back and play it again. I felt pretty satisfied from my first playthrough. Yeah.
Whereas, I very consciously was like, I'm going to leave this and come back to it at a later time. I know there's multiple endings. I still got to get the platinum. I was thinking maybe I'll have time this Halloween to do that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
And I will speak on the monsters. Significantly creepy, especially the doll ones. Like there's like these, they're not like marionette. They're
I've seen the mannequin like puzzle.
Yeah.
When you're in the field and there's a bunch of twisted sort of
there's a big
marionette looking things.
Yeah, there's a big pile of tits monster, which is my least favorite one.
Oh yeah.
I just was seeing it so much by the end, and then it like fucking poops out other ones too that you have to kill. God, it's disgusting. It looks awful. I will give it to them. I don't feel like we talk about Asia Slop, whatever, Gooch, for sure.
Yeah,
but I don't feel like this hits it the same way, because especially it's just leaning into the horror.
People would ask Gooch, isn't Silent Hill F Asia Slop? No, it's not, because it's like real,
Well, but it's not like action.
It's not this fantasy action
slice them up with my sword
with a setting that is Japanese. It's just like real.
It's Japanese horror. Yeah.
It
just doesn't fit that same mold for me. No, I agree.
The characters are Japanese.
Yes.
And they are Asian, but they're real people.
And I wouldn't even say that necessarily means Asian, like, because isn't Neo's like not, is Neo Asian?
Well, the main character in the first one isn't, but the characters around him are.
Right.
It's sort of like a Last Samurai kind of deal where he's the white man and the
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, man, this was fun. I don't think I have anything else. We talked about the monsters, got the story.
Game of the Year winner?
I don't think it's my game of the year. I think I liked Chronos more than this, for sure. Okay. I think if you had to choose one, go Chronos, just because it feels so new. But that's not to take anything away from Silent Hill F, because I think they did a great job of, yes, it's another Silent Hill game, but it has its own identity. But it's not such a separate identity as to which you could play that without knowing the title and being like, is this a Silent Hill game? I think genuinely, if you played that game, you didn't know what it was called, by the midpoint you'd be like, am I playing Silent Hill? Like, is this supposed to be a Silent Hill? So I think
if you didn't know the title of the game.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good accomplishment on their end.
I think there are a lot of games this year that I think more so than other years, you've played a lot more than I have, or maybe we've played a lot of games, like, we played a lot of the same games, but there's a lot of games you played that I didn't, and a lot of games I played that you didn't. But I think you've played more like, okay, I'm playing like Lost Soul Aside and like Final Fantasy Tactics, the Elysian Chronicles, which is a remake or a remaster, definitely remaster, not a remake. But you're playing the new IP and Silent Hill F and Dying Light and stuff like that. So I think we have a pretty wide gamut in terms of what we've been playing just this year. I'm really interested to talk about Game of the Year. I think it's going to be a pretty tight fucking
hefty conversation, that's for sure.
There's a lot of really good games across all genres this year, and
I'm trying to think. I will say
Game of the Year is going to be difficult,
dude. I agree, and I think KCD is still at the top for me right now. I will give Chronos a very slight second, and then Dying Light really did surprise me. I mean, we'll get into that on the review when we do that, but I'm excited. You know what I just started playing? Oh, okay, quickly. The Turok remakes or the remaster. I
saw that.
It's $15 for all three.
I didn't even know they were they're
remasters. They're the Night Dive one. It's the same ones that did System Shock. Yeah. I didn't realize those were just Doom, but with dinosaurs. I don't know why.
Turok?
Yeah.
You're on like an alien planet?
Yeah, but it's like a first person kind of, shooter.
Oh,
and it's
Doom.
Just a lot of,
I thought you said Dune.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
No, Doom. Yeah. I wasn't aware. I only remember a Turok from like GameCube, and it was like third person, I think.
I played one on Xbox that was first person.
Right.
I'm not sure what one that was, but
anywho, yeah. Gooch, thanks for doing this with me, Gooch, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you all watching with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. We really do appreciate it. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search our name on your service of choice. We got a Facebook page, a Discord channel, all that good stuff will be linked down below. We're at Delco Nerds on everything with an @ sign. You can find all this information on our website, delconerdnetwork.com. You can even email us your comments, questions, or concerns to delconerds@gmail.com. We'd be happy to get back to you. But for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy. We will see you next time.